All right, all right. We are live, Mr. Ford. All right. Give me 1 second. Let me share this for 1 second.
Don't get started. Don't get started tonight. Because both of us will be here crowing like the daggone quartet group. Quartet group of two.
Hold on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, Mr. Lee, if Mr. Lee is in the building, Mr. Lee, sing. Come on, sing, Mr. Lee. Robert Lee, he be faking. Robert Lee be singing, be faking. Come on, Robert, okay. give us the Memphis style, the Memphis Twain version of love. Come on.
The Isley Brother version. Yeah.
We coming, y'all. Don't pay us no attention. We coming 1 second. I'm just sharing these pages. 1 second. Longing for you again. Oh, you gotta get the preacher version. Longing for you again. All right, this is distracting me. Okay, let's go ahead. Make me want to sing on tonight. But anyway, listen, everybody.
You know what, dude.
And welcome to Unscripted with your host, Charles Dixon, and he has his comrade, Mr. Adam Ford. Tell people hello, sir. If y'all did not see it, listen, Mr. Adam. Now we all in COVID. Everybody's in COVID. You're supposed to be staying home from church, but some people,
you know what, dude,
he's on Sunday morning just go in there anyway. But anyway, Mr. Ford was in there. Listen, y'all, he was trying to preach us out of COVID yesterday.
Yes, I was. Yes, I was.
If y'all didn't catch
me in my game.
Yeah, when y'all get time, y'all go back to the last post on my page before this one, and you'll see Mr. Ford on there. He was trying to call himself preaching. He was having a conversation with Corona and told her to leave.
You know what, dude? That's how we doing tonight. That's how we rolling with it tonight. We doing that right there. That's what we're doing. I just need to know what the game plan is. That's all. Just let me know. You know what I'm saying? So I know what the games are, the rules. The game rules, the game are. Come on, that's all I'm saying, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't want to talk about somebody that's anointed gift to be able to sing, but they ain't sung in the last how many years? But 10, 15, 20 years now. But we don't want to talk about that.
Oh, man.
I'll give you a word right now. Come on. Don't play with me. Don't play with me.
He already told me years ago. He gave me some word a long time ago.
Yeah. I got some residuals left from yesterday. Keep on playing with me.
All right. So today's topic, everybody, is, listen. In Friday we were talking about this, what do you call it? Self-love movement. And I last left off with saying that self-love is something we should provide ourselves throughout the duration of the relationship, not just at the end or when something bad happens, right? You should be loving yourself all along. And this gives you a better chance of having a thriving relationship. Now, piggybacking on that, here's another element. Sometimes in lots of relationships, seen a lot come, seen a lot go, Even, some of y'all listen, social media, y'all just be giving so much material. You see so much stuff on these online stuff, and you just be like, wow. But I'm saying that to say, folks get on there and people will say things like the person won't let them go, and all you got to do is tell me, be unselfish and let me go. That is too much power to give anybody. Everybody should know. Put it like this: everybody should be able to identify what the exit sign for their life looks like. Everybody should be able to identify that. Now, we're not saying everybody's that strong, but we got to add that element into it, because sometimes I can understand what it feels like to literally feel stifled. Like you kind of stifled. You may think you see the exit sign, but it's just like I don't know. I have some things to consider. I don't understand. What should I do? This, that, and the other. And so we end up in what you call a position of stuck. And sometimes, listen, stuck means a lot of things to a lot of people. Stuck could simply mean I can't stand you. You wait until the summer comes and I'm out. Stuck for some people could mean you really, really get on my nerves because I know so much is in you, but you won't give it to me. Some people. And then stuck for some people literally can mean the person has been telling them for 20 years. Like I told this story before. I knew this lady that used to go to this church back home with me. And so she was this thing about it. She was testifying so proudly, like it was something really to be proud of, when really it wasn't a good look. But she was talking about this guy who she was like, "Cause Frank, cause Frank and Frank been the love of my life." And so somebody said, "It's your husband?" Then she said, "Lady gonna say, no, Frank is my boyfriend." Now this lady was almost every bit of 48 at the time. At least she was at least halfway middle age. She had children, grandkids, and everything. But Frank had been living with her for almost 20 years, she said. Wow. And so she kept announcing him as her second half and better half and all this, but he wasn't her husband. He was just her lengthy living. So I'm saying that to say, sometimes if you're not careful, that's what stuck can turn into. Because you can't tell me that most at least, listen, I'm a gamble on this, but most women have an idea what they want their end or exit game to look like. Most women, their end game, end goal, end game, whatever you call it, with the person they're dating or into. And at the end of the day, I don't think we give men enough credit, but men are very coherent on this topic as well. However, some men won't pull the veil back if they don't think what's on the other side of it. They'll keep the veil in front of your face, and the time will continue to elapse. That's just what it is. So, but men are coherent on this topic. Mr. Ford, we have Mr. Ford to witness. What is going on tonight? No, this is good. No, seriously. But this is good. So my point is, on the subject of giving people too much power, why, Mr. Ford, we'll start with you. Why do you think in some of these relationships, when we broach them like saying, "Leave me alone, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this because I'm not strong enough," why do we lend ourselves over to people like that?
And you talk about in terms of giving people power over ourselves?
Well, meaning, if you're telling someone, if you feel as though something is extremely unhealthy for you, right? But you're putting the onus of the outcome on the other person, and not taking the onus of yourself.
Okay, so it sounds like we're dealing with a variation of a codependent relationship where the two parties are, I guess, operating in a way where they feel as though their power comes from the other person instead of coming from within inside of themselves to be able to make a decision for themselves. That kind of lends itself to the fact that they don't have enough confidence within themselves to be able to guide their own lives, to be able to direct their own paths, to be able to make competent decisions in regards to their life. So they inevitably acquiesce to somebody else who they believe to some degree or other has their best interest at heart, you know, and that can be kind of dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Especially if you don't know the intents of the person that you're with, that they actually do, in fact, have your best interest at heart. Because now, if you give them that power, if you relinquish the power of your life over to them, then they can manipulate you and control you and use you to do whatever it is that they want to do. And that's not right. That's not right. That's again, you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet and make your own decisions in regards to your own particular life. Giving your power over to somebody else, that's not cool.
Wow.
That's not cool.
Wow. Yeah. I always kind of go back to what I believe about how sometimes we do it in some cases, certainly not at all cases, because sometimes I believe a person can really kind of just deplete their efforts and deplete their emotional love in regards to someone, where they can sometimes render themselves. Now keep this in mind. They're responsible for them, right? They're responsible for them, but sometimes people can render themselves so, they can just deplete themselves emotionally and love-wise, and to the point where they're just the person, they're looking for that person to do something. Like basically, I'm here in spirit, my body is here, but I cannot function because I'm paralyzed in this relationship. I need you to fix it, to do this, to perform CPR on LPR on me, so to speak, to pump me back to life, because this is a bad place that we find ourselves in sometimes,
Okay, so let's deal with the concept of being stuck. Ordinarily, when you think about somebody who's stuck, the first thing that comes to my mind is somebody who maybe they're driving their car, or they got stuck in the mud, they got stuck in the snow for whatever reasons, because the roads were treacherous. I've had that personal experience before myself, where you become stuck and you can't, unless somebody comes along to help you to get out of the situation that you're in. Now, here's part of that scenario, and I think it's a very integral part, is that you gotta want to be not stuck anymore. It's that simple. There's nothing complicated about it, nothing deep about it. The reality is, do you still want to be stuck? Because if you don't want to be stuck, then the hope is that you will begin to take some steps to get unstuck from where you are. Now, that's not to say that, we have all the answers as to how to unstick ourselves, but I'll put it to you like this. You at least have to be willing to be unstuck. A lot of us are not willing to be unstuck because we become comfortable with where we are, to the point where the idea of being unstuck frightens us, because we don't know what it means to be unstuck. Because we're so entrenched in being stuck because we've been there for so long. So again, the idea of being unstuck frightens us, because then that means we have to be responsible for ourselves. We can no longer blame the situation. We can no longer blame everyone around us. We can no longer blame the lack of money or the lack of education. Now the responsibility is on us to take responsibility for ourselves.
Wow. I mean, but you know what it is? You said something that's so popular, and that is blame.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about blame. It's like the hot plate. That's past the plate. So, and for most people, I happen to just in my opinion, I think blame serves the purpose as exit fuel for some people.
Okay.
People need to be able to say, yes, because you did, right, Adam? You did, just like I told you, I asked you and you never did what I asked you. You always been who you are in Adam, so therefore I'm done. But you ever notice, here's the thing, why do we need exit fuel to leave? And why do we have to be able to point the finger and blame someone as the person that's doing something wrong, rather than just, owning it yourself and saying this is that, this is that,
Because we want to justify the reasons why we're leaving.
Wow.
We want to justify it. And so we use the vehicle or the mechanism of blame to lay the responsibility for our failure at somebody else's feet, instead of taking responsibility for our own selves.
Wow.
Let me just put this out there. We live in a society that doesn't want to take responsibility for the things that it does.
Yeah.
We live in a society that wants to do this, that, and the other. And then when things blow up, we want to throw our hands up like we didn't have anything to do with it. Like we had no contribution, no donation to the inevitable demise of whatever the situation was.
Right.
We want to blame everybody else. But
yeah,
that's the reality is you, to some extent, somewhere along the line, have to begin to take responsibility. You know what? Let me put it to you like this. Mature people, grown people, adult folk take responsibility.
Wow.
Children blame everybody else.
Wow. That's good stuff. Wow. That's good stuff.
True. Whenever you deal with somebody who wants to look at you and point the finger at you for what you didn't do and what you didn't say and how you didn't support me and you didn't come to this and you didn't come to that and you didn't throw me a party and you didn't throw me a parade, they want to blame you for what's not happening in their life rather than taking responsibility for their life and making things happen for themselves. How many people do you know that are like that in your life?
Wow. We
all know a couple of people that are like that.
Yeah. Far few between. And here's another part of it. Another side of this is, most of us we get in these relationships, and there's the blame portion. There's the part of us not I guess trying to lay the blame, and then the other side of it is skipping my mind. 1 second. I guess I'm getting up in age. Hold on for a second. I had a good thought. No, anyway, I'm joking. No, but it's like I had it was on the tip of my tongue. Okay, so I think what it is like you were talking about blame, and I was going to come in and say we come together, we get together, and there's the blame portion. There's not being wrong. Keep talking while I'm thinking that. It's going to come to me. It's on the tip of my tongue. I had it right until when you were talking.
Okay, so here's the thing.
All right.
As children, if you're raised by good parents or good folk that are in your life, whether it's your parents or not your parents, they teach you how to take responsibility for the things that you do.
Yeah.
They don't let you escape from whatever decision that you made, whether it was to tell them you got a bad grade on your report card, whether it was you came in beyond the curfew hour, you learned how to take responsibility for yourself.
Wow.
But now, again, we're living in a world, in a society, in a generation where people don't want to take responsibility. They want to blame everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Wow. But again, when do we come to terms with the fact that it wasn't him, Jim, or them, but it was me? I did it. Yeah. I was the one that blew it. I was the one that messed up. I was the one that called you out of your name when we had the argument. I was the one that misappropriated the funds and spent the money somewhere else. I was the one who was unfaithful to you and took a trip out and decided to see somebody else. I was the one who decided to leave that job. And now I want to blame everybody else. But again, we don't look at all of those things that led up to that particular situation. We don't look at the fact that we were late every day to work. Wow. We don't look at the fact that we didn't pay attention to our spouse like we should have. We don't look at the fact that we didn't pay our bills on time. We didn't pay our car note on time. That's why they took the car. But we want to blame everybody else. We don't want to take responsibility.
Wow. And then here's the other part. This is what I was thinking about. Thank you. I will say. Yeah. But anyway, here's the thing. In most cases, people fail to want to take mutual ownership in the demise of any relationship. Like I don't care if, I mean, listen, the person could just have done something that was just like outlandish to the relationship and made everybody like, why did so and so do that? At the end of the day, whenever you have two people, the breakdown starts with those two people at one point or another. But the thing is, we take this whole blame thing and we refuse to look at any possibility of what role could I have played. Now that comes in when in these relationships. Now you know how you alleviate that? Stop the score counting. People do scorecards, and that's why when the relationship hits the rock, you can't see yourself because you have taken this scorecard, this virtual scorecard in your mind, and you was like, oh no, it's not me because I gave you, Adam, I gave you 20 years of my best life. It was never me, it was you because you decided this, and this is why we broke up. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, that scorecard is major. People, when someone could have done something to you, they could have helped you go through medical school, whatever those things were in the relationship, right? If they were agreed upon, they shouldn't be brought up. It's like, if nobody didn't twist your arm to do something, don't bring it up when it's convenient, because all that does is it makes for an unsuccessful argument, disagreement, if you will. It's like whenever you want to have that talk to try to fix something, if people want to go back from, let me go back to 10 years, wait a minute, 15 years, wait a minute, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, you did this. And it's just like, listen, let's discuss this. We don't have to do the scorecard thing. Because like I said the other day, I said real loving is basically, it's just like, it's a lot of covering going on. It's not a whole lot of exposing going on in a circle that has real love. Listen, let me tell you, I'll make a perfect example. Adam don't, as close as me and Adam are, Adam don't be on the phone with me saying, let me tell you something. She over here can't cook, can't do this. He don't say none of that because he keeps it in the circle. I mean, I'm sure he has moments where he could be like, I should see what Charles think. But no, he says, listen, this is my circle. This is my house. I have to keep the circle of covering flowing, right? But when we do all this whole, just today, we vicious. It's like, I don't see how some folks can stay at home with the same person when people murder them online. I saw this one lady talking about her husband and she was pretty successful and she was talking about him not having a good job and how she's tired of handling, and this is to her whole community. I was like, why are you doing this for? Like, well, what's the point? Like, if this man is still in your home, y'all not divorced, you shouldn't even be doing it divorced. But if he's in your home, all the more reason why you should be covering your house. So, we have to learn how to be fair with this stuff, man.
You know what? Let me kind of jump in here and just kind of I want to pull some points off that you made that kind of sprung up in my mind. Okay, you talk about the idea or the concept of scorecards in order to keep track of score, what you did or what you didn't do.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask this question: how many of us keep scorecards on us, on ourselves, in terms of what we do?
Wow.
Do you keep your own scorecard? Do you score yourself when you do something good? I'm sure you do. But do you also score yourself when you do something not so good?
Yeah. Wow.
See, again, it's not about putting it at somebody else's feet. It's not about trying to blame somebody else, but check yourself for a minute.
Yeah.
Check you. You know what I'm saying? You know you're not all that good. You know your breath stink. You know your eyes got crumbs in them.
Right.
You know you're not perfect.
Right.
So for you to sit here and blame somebody else for the fact that you're not as far or not as happy or not as satisfied in your life as you would like to be is nobody's fault but your own. At the end of the day, it's nobody's fault but your own. Here's the other thing too. And I was even thinking about my own life in terms of where I've been, what I've been through, and where I am now. I know, and I have acknowledged the fact that I played a part in terms of the divorce that I have. I'm not free from guilt. I'm not free from the mistakes that I made. I'm a man.
Wow.
Just like everybody else. I put my pants on just like everybody else. Okay. Wow. And it doesn't, regardless of whether you're in the church or out of the church, right. I made mistakes, just like she made mistakes. And we owned up to the mistakes. Right. Unfortunately, it led to the end of the marriage. But the reality is, I don't sit here and go, well, it's all on her. She did it wrong. She messed. Really? Really? Oh no, yo, dude, I'm about to come to your house. I'm about to come to your house. We about to go. Come on, let's do it. Let's do it. Come on, bro. Come on. You want to go?
Yeah, look, on record. This is what Adam said on Monday at 5:30.
No, the truth of the matter is, I had to do some self-reflection, some introspection. I had to look at me.
Yeah,
I can't lay the blame at it. Okay, I'm gonna go real hard. I'm gonna go real hard on you.
Come on.
At the end of the day, when it comes to the marriage, this is my own personal philosophy.
Okay.
I have to shoulder the failure of that marriage. You know why? And I'm going to make some people mad with this one, but I believe it to be true because I'm the man. And at the end of the day, God is going to look at me.
He's going to hold you accountable.
He's going to hold me accountable.
Right.
Okay. And so understanding that, I have to take responsibility for the things that I did not do right. I had to take responsibility for the things that I failed at. And we were both in it.
Yeah.
Okay. We were both in it. There were things that she did or didn't do. There was things that I did and I didn't do. But for me to sit here and act a fool and say, no, it was all her fault, all of her fault, and lay the blame at her feet. Come on, that's not even real.
But here's the thing that you are saying. That's like I'm saying. It's powerful to get to a space of humility to admit it. But here's the other part.
Okay.
You said you were able to come to yourself and you had self-reflection, right?
Yeah.
Even though you transitioned and you're in a different space in life as it pertains to marriage, nonetheless, you still had to have that space to even hear, to deal with you.
Yes.
And see, sometimes it's hard to deal with you. Like someone could be telling you and you this and this railing at you, but you're creating an environment of noise, and it makes it difficult for a person to self retrospect. And actually, what's going to happen is the opposite. If you're railing at someone that maybe they are in the wrong, guess what? The person that's in the wrong know they're in the wrong, right? Yeah. You don't have to keep on beating nobody in the head. People know when they are wrong. They know when they've offended someone. They know when they've been foul, this, that, and the other. But when you continually to jolt at people, you then turn the self-reflective measures into a defensive posture. And now the person is going back and forth with you, and nothing in this situation is winning. It's just a mess. Yeah. So we gotta do better than that, man.
And again, nobody wants to. You don't want to sit here and you don't want to admit that you did something wrong, that you made a contribution to the situation that was detrimental to it. Yeah. You don't want to sit here and have a moment of confession, rather a moment of transparency, a moment of honesty, and say, you know what, I blew it. You know what? I looked at this situation wrong. I wasn't right.
Yeah.
But again, in today's society, we don't value those type of attributes. We don't value those type of characteristics.
In people,
we always want to be right.
Yes.
Always want to be on the winning side. Well, sometimes you're not always on the winning side.
Right.
Sometimes you're not a winner. And like I said before, sometimes when you fail at something, you learn more than when you win at something or when you're successful at something. You know what I'm saying? And so you just gotta own it, man. Own it for what it is. I want to speak to something else that you also talked about, and you were talking about the fact that if being in a relationship. And if there's problems or issues within the relationship, that the idea is that if I'm in love with you and I love you the way that I love you, then I'm not going to unduly expose you for the things that you do.
Right.
Okay. I'm not going to sit here and just air my dirty laundry, so to speak.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But my love will allow me to cover your faults or cover whatever it is that's not quite right. But here's the thing too, also the fact that your love also covers me, because again, I know that I'm not perfect, and if I have been upfront and honest and transparent with you, then that means your love also covers me. So my love covers you and your faults, and your love covers me and my faults, and nobody can see past the love that we have for each other for who we really are, because only we know what the real truth is. Correct. I know your breath stink. You know my breath stink. You know I got a lamp. You know your hair not real. But nobody sees that. All they see is the love that we have for each other that covers each other. We don't expose each other like that. Right. And I believe that's true, not in just romantic relationships or in marriages, but in brotherhoods, in friendships, in sisterhoods. You know what I'm saying? In parenting and child relationships. Right. That's the type of love that covers you, that doesn't unduly expose you to the elements and to the wolves, the ravenous wolves that are out there that will come to tear you apart. They see a weak moment, and a lot of us. Let me just put it like this. I'm not gonna say nothing else. A lot of us are. You might not murder the person that you're with, but because you expose their faults and their weaknesses, that's when the wolves come in. Correct. And they take advantage of
now that. You're talking.
They come in and they exploit the weakness that you exposed.
Shine the light on.
You didn't kill him, but you did expose the weakness. And so when the weakness was exposed, that's when the wolves come in. They come in and they're gonna have dinner. They're gonna have dinner tonight.
You're right. You're right. And that is the whole key to protecting the circle.
Yeah.
It's to run the guard check around that circle to make sure. If there's any chinks in it, it's addressed. If there's any chinks in that armor, address it. If not, you can best believe if you lay down and there's a chink in that armor, there's somebody getting a ladder trying to climb up through that little crack and get in. Right. Yeah, so that's the way you got to look at it. And
address the chink behind closed doors. Don't do it out in the public. Don't do it out in the public square where everybody can see it. Don't post it on Facebook. Pull me behind closed doors and let's have a conversation about this.
But you know, here's the thing. This is the forgotten thing. A lot of us want to say the Lord and bless the Lord and amen and that's right, God. But we skip right over his commandment, not commandment, his script, his words, so to speak. Now, there is a reason he says, vengeance is mine, right? He knows how to do the injustice better than you ever could. Absolutely. But we think that we can table him and do his job better than him. Yeah. And really what we do is expose, when you decide to take his job, you expose your self-vanity on steroids. Because you're saying, you know, I know how to do this right. I don't have time to wait for you. I can handle it. So let me take this into my own hands and fix this. And a lot of times it just really exposes us. Our anger really embarrasses us. Our display of anger really embarrasses us because it really shows us how frail we are. Yeah. You know, because if you have to fight so desperately, the opposite of that is I'm very weak and I'm using whatever I can and whatever I see handy to me to defend myself. Yeah. Other than just to be quiet. Because sometimes silence is golden. Yeah. You can just be quiet. You don't have to argue with people. Somebody's trying to, because a lot of times people hate your silence. And they're constantly trying to get you to gnaw at you, to pull something out of you, to get you to argue or to trade insults. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, when you think about it, it doesn't even make you feel good internally when you have a really petty battle with somebody. When you go back and forth and you so and so and so. When you guess what, you're the lowest scum of the earth too. And after that argument quiets down, you say, you know, that was too much. It was mean. It was mean spirited. What was the whole point of it? For my flesh to be on parade that I know how to check you? What's the whole point? You know, and so we gotta do better than that for real. Yeah.
And yeah, okay, so so you talked about anger. Let's talk about that for a minute. We're gonna talk about that and we're gonna go somewhere else with it. The reality is that anger in and of itself is not bad.
Yeah.
It's a human
emotion. It's a healthy
human emotion. Yeah. We all feel angry from time to time. If it's something that is a part of us. Okay. Now, feeling anger is one thing. Doing something angry or angrily is another thing. See, it takes a mature person to feel the anger that they feel, but channel that anger in the right direction. You should be working toward resolving your anger or resolving your frustration. And most of the time, the way that you do that is through a conversation.
Yeah.
Getting with the person and having an open, transparent conversation with them. Now, mind you, you might want to take a couple of days to let your anger subside. You might want to sip on some iced tea in the interim while you sit and let your anger subside a little bit. But my brothers and my sisters, don't wait too long. Don't let that anger. Don't let that anger begin to what's the word I'm looking for? Fester. There we go. Fester on the inside of you. You need to deal with that. You need to talk about this. Okay. And you need to confront whoever it was with wisdom, hopefully, and say, hey, you know what? Such and such made me a little angry, or such and such got me frustrated. Can we have a conversation about this?
Right.
Even I'll even go this far with you. Maybe in order for you to really begin to collect your thoughts about why you feel the way you feel, maybe you should take a pen and a piece of paper and write it down.
That's good to bring that to the table.
Collect your thoughts about why you feel the way you feel. So that way, when you address the issue, your thoughts are succinct and they make sense. Versus you just flying off the handle emotionally and just saying any old thing out of your mouth. We don't think before we speak.
Not at all.
We just talk. We just say things. The first thing that comes to our mind. And often these are the things that we regret later because you can't take your words back.
Once you say it, that's it.
It's out there. It's out there. So think about it. Be thoughtful, about what you say. Be deliberate. Be intentional about what you say. Take a moment and think about it. Through the haze and the fogginess of your anger, take a moment and think about what you need to say that can properly articulate how you feel, and then work toward a solution to that anger in your life.
Wow. And you know what? It's not a bad idea that before you broach that argument, because I've done it before, is pray.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
You need to take the intercessor into that discussion with you, because sometimes you can get in a situation where you're in it and it's like that flesh, because basically a strong argument is pretty much just a flesh war, flesh on display, right? Until that mediator comes in the middle and it kind of seasons it and kind of weathers it out. Other than that, you can get in there and you'll be done yelled and you find yourself exhausted and stressed out and no resolve. Because sometimes in at least in this climate nowadays, it's more important to be right than to find resolve.
Yeah.
Finding true resolve takes, again, humility and wisdom, knowing when not to, right? Or when, maybe I shouldn't say that, even though I'm thinking it to Adam. I'm not going to say that because that's just going to inflame things. Don't say it, right? Just kind of just take the low road and deal with some things differently. But just going in this thing and just trying to be right. So you got the trying to be right element, you got the scorecard element, and you have the haughty, I'm not wrong person, the blame. That's those some strong, ugly elements to bring and to just kind of have in your repertoire as a person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we gotta,
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you need to, like I've been kind of trying to say, and here's the thing too. I know some things about me that nobody else knows about me. And I I know some things.
About me. I get it.
Adam C. Ford.
Right.
That nobody else knows about Adam. Just like you know some things about you that nobody else knows about. Yes, you. Perfect you. Banana head you.
No, you ain't never lied.
But here's the thing, though.
If you live long enough, you'll even be shocked by you.
Yes.
You live long enough, some of the things that you do, some of the things you don't do, some of the things that you know that you innately should respond to, something you should be a little empathetic to, and you be like, wait a minute, wait a minute, I don't feel nothing. You know, you got to check yourself because you be like, wow, is this me? You know what I'm saying? That's true.
Check it, man, because a lot of times it's as much as we would like it to be the other person.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if we're honest, it's us.
Yes.
We're the saboteurs. We are the ones that are messing up the flow. It's us. Check your attitude. Why are you so irritable today? What? Did you not eat breakfast? Is your blood sugar low? Did you not get enough sleep last night? I mean, come on. Let's check yourself first. Because the reality is, if something is happening, this is how I do. This is my own personal philosophy that I live by. If something bad happens or something goes wrong, the first person that I check is me. I don't check nobody else. I don't have no interviews. I don't do no interrogations. I check me.
Wow.
Take me to the bathroom and we're gonna figure this out.
Wow.
We're gonna figure this out. But again, we want to blame everybody else, but everybody else ain't the answer, but you are.
Yes. So one of the biggest teachers out here in this world, we like to hurl that word around about karma and what goes around, all these kind of things. But at the end of the day, what's really happening is God knows that some of us need to be reintroduced to ourselves. And sometimes the best way to be reintroduced to you is through another carrier like you. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
I've seen it in myself and I've seen it in others. I've seen people who will come to me and would just despise my behavior, right? But they have the same characteristics,
right?
Or they have done the same deeds,
same thing,
over their lifetime. But now, when you get to me, I could spew you out of my mouth. No, you're being reintroduced to you.
That's right.
That's it. And here's the thing: when you're being reintroduced to you, a lot of times you don't even the person that's doing it. They just being who they are.
That's right.
Whether they're bogus or great, or they dot all their I's and cross their T's. Regardless of any of that, people are just sometimes in life, in order for you to get the lesson, whether you get the lesson while you're with them or the lesson beyond them, the whole point is you need to be reintroduced to you, because sometimes people don't listen when you try to explain their effect on people to them.
Yeah.
You try to say, listen, the way you do like this, it's a lot. And I'm just telling you as a friend or a lover or whoever, this part that you do bothers me or bothers people. And people immediately they want to blame and come against you for being critical, so they take it towards them. Right. But in reality, people can't take themselves. You can't take yourself. That's really what it is. You know, if you were a person out here once upon a time, if you were living lawless and you were just busting heads and hearts and doing whatever, okay, it's good to get tired and want to do something different, right? But it still doesn't mean you get to bypass the reintroduction of you.
Wow.
It still don't mean you get to bypass it. It still has to be revisited, and you still got to deal with it, whether you like it or not. Because I tell you, it's nothing like I'm telling you, it's nothing like I say, being reintroduced to you. Lord have mercy in the world of life. But yeah, I mean, you got, and then during that time, when you recognize it, if you're wise enough to recognize what's happening, that's when when in your daily prayer regimen, if that's what you do, you just ask for grace to get through it. Because it's a process that's going to happen, whether you on board or not. It's going to happen, right? So just deal with it.
Well, the hope is that if you're being reintroduced to you and you see in them the same things that you see in yourself, the hope is that you will go, no, I need to change that about me.
Yeah.
Because being reintroduced to yourself doesn't do any good if you're not willing to be changed by what you see. I'll give you a good example.
Okay.
You get up in the morning, go to the mirror, and you see that your face ain't right. You got eyes,
everything.
Face all messed up or whatever like that. You know, for the ladies, you got to put the makeup on or whatever like that. You know, but you don't.
Yeah.
You ignore the eye boogers. You don't put makeup on. You don't brush your teeth. You don't do anything to fix yourself, even though you are looking at your reflection in the mirror.
Right.
You walk outside like everything's okay, and everybody's looking at you like, are you okay?
Yeah.
But you ignore the fact that you had an opportunity to make yourself right in the mirror.
Yeah.
Instead of going outside in the public looking crazy.
Wow.
How many of us have been looking in the mirror based off of whatever reintroduction of ourselves occurred in our life, but yet did not fix what was wrong?
Wow.
Didn't change what needed to be changed within us on the inside. Went about our way as though everything was okay.
Right. Wow.
And then watch this. And so we walk into relationships the same exact way.
You're right.
Eyeballs all in your eyes, face all jacked up, looking all crazy. And then we wonder why the partner that we're with is looking at us crazy, like, what's wrong with you?
Here's the thing. This is where the importance of trust comes in, because in the proper element, the person that's watching your back should say, wait a minute, Adam, come in for a minute. You know how people be like this. You know, somebody's gonna come and correct that thing instead of having you out here looking bogus. The whole point is to have that trust to the point where the person is gonna look at you like they look at themselves, and they're gonna say, I wouldn't want Adam to look like that, so I'm going to help him as my guy.
Yeah,
he needs to know this. You understand what I'm saying? Or woman, whatever. So you know, we just have to take a different approach on that, and just kind of like I said, just you know, I just this whole spell of selfishness has fell on this whole generation today. Everybody is about self first, self-preservation, and it's the reason why a lot of these relationships and marriages are not toeing the line, because we're so sensitive. The first thing you offend us, we're not gonna take it to the grave no more. We're not gonna bury it deep and cover the relationship. The first offense, we're gonna do an indirect smoke signal on Facebook. It may not be exactly word for word, but it's an indirect smoke signal that that your small circle of gossip friends can recognize and be like, what's going on with so and so? Adam must have did something. You know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, the whole thing swells and swells. And now when you get, by the time it gets back to you and you get wind of it, you like, really? You gonna put me out there like that? You know, that's the time we're living in today. People, you know?
Yeah, because people feel more secure behind the screen on their keyboard, typing out what they feel rather than actually having a direct one-on-one conversation with the person that they got the issue with.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we live in a generation of people who live behind screens.
Wow.
We got a whole bunch of babies. We got a whole bunch of babies living behind screens.
But look, to take it even further, that's the concept of back in the day. Remember, people would talk trash behind the screen door.
Oh,
and people outside, come outside then. But that's the whole concept. Yeah, the screen door concept is the online laptop and phones. That's what it is. We behind. We not gonna be about it to tell the person in their face, but we're gonna say it on Facebook, social media. You know what I'm saying?
It's not. If you think about that, that's a little contradictory, because at the moment, we live in a moment of super, ultra, mega sensitivity. Everybody's sensitive to everything. But at the same time, we want to be able to post whatever we want to post on Facebook and not expect any retribution or retaliation from it.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways.
Wow. You're right.
You can't have it both ways.
And you know what's so amazing sometimes is the person who's the most obtuse offender, they almost will be almost shocked if you do the same thing to them. Like you let somebody send a smoke signal up, and then you turn around at them and be like, "Well, your egg sucked, fellas. Make sure you find somebody to cook before you get married." That's it. Now it's like, oh my God, now it's a whole problem because you gave them due benevolence,
right?
Just because of that. So it's crazy.
I mean, come on, I mean, okay. So growing up in our era was a little rough. If you grew up in the area that we grew up in, DC, Maryland, PG County, it was a little rough. You know what I'm saying? But we still knew how to deal with the people face to face.
Correct. Yeah.
I'd rather deal with a person face to face any day of the week than to deal with a person posting comments on IG, posting comments on Facebook. Right. You never get anything resolved like that.
Right.
How do you live your life going from clap back to clap back and you've never resolved anything with the clap back?
Wow.
You just posting stuff, just posting it back to back. You just clapping back and just clapping back. I mean, come on, really? That's how you living.
But you know what? This is what social media does for some people. For some people, social media is the courtroom because some people like to drag you into court. Right. They want to be able to say, you and I could be having something going on over here. And then let's just say, Rhonda from the show come to say, wait a minute, Adam, remember what you said you and Charles had disagreement about on the show the other day? Let's bring this over here. And it's just like, no, you don't get to do that. We handling this ourselves, right? But people will try to drag you into a situation, forcing their hands instead of this you and this person having a healthy dialogue. They want to say, no, this kind of punishment needs to go out into the world. Everybody needs to know how you said this and this and that and the other, Adam. That's not the way to do things. You know what I'm saying?
It's not. That undue public exposure is not necessary. It's not beneficial, and if anything, it's detrimental to any existing relationship that you have with that particular person. Here's the thing, and I've said this, and I especially when me and Maria first started dating, I always said to her, I said, look, for whatever issues that we might have, do not send me a text. If it's something of a critical nature, if it's something that's sensitive, that you believe that we need to have a face-to-face discussion on it, don't text.
Right.
We need to see each other eye to eye. I need to read your body language. You need to read my body language. I need to hear the tone of your words out of your mouth so I don't misinterpret what you mean by it.
Wow.
Because what happens is you posting stuff, you sending texts, I can't hear your tone. I can assume your tone. I can fill in the gaps to what I believe that your tone means in your words, but I can't hear your tones in a text. I can't hear your tones in a post. Yeah. But if we have a face-to-face conversation, then when I hear what you have to say and I see you, then I can interpret it the way that you mean for it to be interpreted. Right. I'm not sitting here assuming something.
Right.
And a lot of us, we are culprits of that. We'd rather post it rather than having a conversation. We'd rather text it than actually sitting down and calling somebody. We'd rather do all these other things. We are such an avoiding society. We love to avoid everything we possibly can. Right. We want to go all the way around Robert Hood's barn. All we got to do is go in a straight line, but we want to go all the way around. Avoid that. Deflecting this, deflecting that. Come on, man. Ain't nobody got time for that. Come on.
No, that's true talk. And we got, like I said, we just at that point now where we just, like you said, we don't want to deal. Again, it takes it back to not wanting to deal with you. Having a face-to-face forces you to be dealt with. Even having some one-on-one conversations on the phone is hard because even though you're not seeing the person, you're hearing it ear to ear, and it's still hard. You just like, So again, when to me, I've always known if I get to a place where I'm avoiding something, I know at that point I need to adjust humility. Because if I'm avoiding a conversation, I'm struggling with humility. And so I need to say, wait a minute, be humble, come low, and listen. Because sometimes we want to say, you wrong. No, you're not what you ain't what you're saying, making sense. We want to blow things off. When sometimes you just need to stand still and be like, you know what? There's some truth to that. So I'll swallow that and swallow my pride, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you know what? I've always believed, and I live by this, that it's definitely it's what you say, okay, to some extent. I'm always thinking about what I need to say, and I'm thinking about the best way to possibly communicate what I need to say to you so that you understand the content of the message that I'm saying to you.
Right.
In that same regard, it's important in terms of the words that you use, but it's also important in how you say what you say.
Yeah.
It's the message that doesn't have the words, but has the intent of what you mean by it.
Yeah.
We just like to talk off the top of our head. We don't give any thought to our words. Yeah. We're not deliberately thinking about, we're not crafting we're not crafting our conversations.
Right.
We're just saying things.
Right.
If you take the time out to craft it, then you might actually get them to understand what you're saying versus you just flying off the handle and saying any old kind of thing.
Wow.
Be deliberate in your conversations.
Yeah.
Be thoughtful. Think about what you're saying. I know your emotions may have you all in upheaval and got you all flustered, but calm down enough to be able to think clearly, to be able to say to them in a very articulate manner how you feel and the thoughts that are on your mind.
Yeah.
We just need to be thoughtful about what we do, man.
And we have to be open to really hear what the other person is feeling.
Yes.
Because we have to stop discrediting others' pains and thoughts. If somebody is feeling something, then they're owed that respect to be heard.
That's right.
Whether you want to discount it, blow it off, or think it's whatever you call it. If that person is saying, listen, I know you don't think this thing sticking me in the arm is not hurting, but trust me, it's hurting. So please allow me to explain why it's hurting. We don't do that. We just rather say, oh, you just over there, whatever, Adam, you being dramatic, you not hurt. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but see, when you do that, you invalidate the other person's feelings. And even though you might not necessarily be feeling it, they are feeling it.
Absolutely.
It's their feelings. It's what they feel. Okay, so you need to validate what they feel. You need to be at least to say, okay, I understand. You're feeling what you feel. Okay, look, let's figure out how to make this work. Let's figure out how to solve this particular issue. All of us have feelings. Right. Okay. And again, I would admonish all of us, don't allow your feelings to run you ragged. Don't allow your emotions to dictate to you what you should and should not do. Okay. But at the same time, your feelings are valid, and you need to figure out a way to properly express how you feel so that the other person can at least empathize and sympathize with you.
Right.
Just because you feel what you feel, and that should not be taken away from you. You feel what you feel,
and you owe to be heard. At least, if nothing more, you at least owe to be heard, right? That's it. I mean, because a lot of times, if we're honest, sometimes, but it could be the woman or the man, but in most cases, if we're trying to kind of explain our side and get you to kind of understand, because we know we're not going to do anything about it. When a person is not going to change something, the next best thing is, let me give you a nice warmed over speech to put you to sleep, because I don't want to hear this come back to me again. Basically, I know I'm not going to change. So let me explain this to you this way. Are you hearing me really good, Adam? Good, because don't ask me this next week, because this is what I'm doing and I'm not changing.
Wow.
And when you have to have your ears open enough to be able to hear that. And the response, if I was the person on the receiving end of that, and I would simply say, well, when you have room for me in this discussion, you let me know. But until then, you know, I'm gonna check out over here mentally. You know, because basically the person is saying, I don't care what you think, I don't care how you feel. This is the way I'm going to do this, and either you sink or swim. Basically, and that's messed up. But a lot of times we find ourselves in these situations where we have these big blowouts and these big discussions, and a lot of times people are just, again, they just want to be heard, and they want, sometimes a person will just settle for you hearing them. Here, and if you respond correctly, you know, respond and listen to them, that's all they really want to do is be heard, you know?
Yeah, which is good in its own respect. But I really believe that a healthy relationship consists of the exchange of ideas and perspectives that might be different from your own. And in that, you are able to see it from a different vantage point. What's the point of being in a relationship and you're not willing to hear anything else that the person has to say? You're not willing to change and adjust to them as they adjust to you. What's the point of being in a relationship like that? I don't want to be in a relationship where you're just doing what I tell you to do and you have to accept it as it is, and it's either my way or the highway.
Yeah.
I don't want to live like that. A relationship is a living, breathing organism.
Yes.
You know why it's a living, breathing organism? Because I'm a living, breathing organism.
Right.
And the person that I'm with is a living, breathing organism.
Right. So
which means that this relationship is going to grow and it's going to mature and it's going to change. Right. If it doesn't grow, if it doesn't mature, and if it doesn't change, well, the only thing that I know that doesn't grow and changes are dead things.
Ooh, wow.
So are we saying that the relationship is dead?
Wow.
Because you're not living, you're not growing, you're not maturing.
Yeah.
Only dead things don't grow, mature, and change.
Good. Right. Yeah.
So you tell me, because again, I'm not going to be in anything that's not growing, maturing, and changing. Life is growing, maturing, and changing.
Yeah.
But you don't want to grow, mature, and change. So yeah.
That's good stuff, man. You said anything that if it's not growing or moving, it's dead. Basically.
It's dead. Everything in this world, everything that exists in this world, it grows, it matures, and it changes.
Right.
Everything in this world. So if it's not mature, if it doesn't have any three of those aspects, it's dead and it belongs in a graveyard.
Wow.
You better be careful. You might be messing around with a dead man and a dead woman. Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
You might be messing around with a corpse. Wow. You might be in a relationship with a walking dead person. I'm just saying.
And here's the other part. Some of us need to walk into the rooms of the relationship and look to the left and look to the right and see if that person if that plug is still in the wall on life support.
Yeah.
Some of these relationships are on life support.
They on life support.
You know what I'm saying? And then some of them, the plug is out the wall and the person is just doing his last little moves before they last breath. You understand what I'm saying?
Before they go on.
Yeah, I'm telling you, some of these relationships are only surviving because the person that's the authorized lover has not spoken to cut it off. Yeah. That's really the only reason why they're still breathing is the person has to come in and say, you know what, pull the plug. We're done here. You know, the person is saying, wait, just wait. I want to see if the person comes around, even though you keep looking over at that plug like I should be good enough to go over and snatch it. But you're trying to give the relationship its just due. It's not easy today. I'm telling you, in this world. Yeah, because I mean, especially when I don't know what it is about this day and time, but we go far more deeper into our feelings than the generations of old. We go into feelings deeply. We be in our feelings seriously.
Yeah. And you know, and it's nothing, again, I want to reiterate one more time. It's nothing wrong with having feelings. Yeah. We all have emotions, okay? God created us that way. He created us just like himself. We all have emotions. The problem is when you allow those emotions to overrule your good sense.
Yes.
You allow your emotions to make you crazy. Come on. Let's think about some of these things before we start doing some of these things that we regret. You know,
it's not God's will for anyone to drown in anything.
No,
so when you get to the point where you render yourself useless, you're drowning. And so you have to say to yourself, am I drowning? If not, listen, a lot of times, what's that thing I saw one time? It was on YouTube or something that was on there, and it was showing you like this person was having a fit and they were going crazy. And then the father said, stand up. The person was like maybe 5 foot tall, and they were only in 3 feet of water.
Oh yeah, I know.
So they were going crazy, and I'm like, the way the camera was showing, like you like help him out. The person is going to drown, and that person, and he said, "Stand up," and the person was just like, and that's how a lot of us are in relationships. We are hollering, "I'm drowning! Oh my God! Oh my God!" When really, you can stand up and change all of this.
Yeah, you know what that whole situation speaks to? Yeah, it speaks to your position. Yeah, because if you're laying in the water trying to swim, that means you're in a horizontal position. Yeah, you're in a prostrate position. You're in a horizontal position. But when you stand up, you're in a vertical position. Right. You need to change your position in your relationship. Wow. That'll keep you from drowning. If you stand up in that little bit of shallow water, you'll be fine. That's all I'm saying. It's just that simple. Stand up.
It depends on the posture, the position. Anyway, but it's just don't be trying
to take that. Don't be trying to take that down. You know that blessed you. You know that blessed your soul.
That was good. That's good, sir. Good. So, man, this was some good stuff, man. Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, when it comes to this kind of stuff, we just have to strive, and if, all of us know where we are failing at, where we are falling at, even to this day. We all know where we don't get it right. And so you have to go into your individual prayer regimen. Well, hey, you got Buddha, whatever it is that you do what you do to find your inner peace and your inner resolve, right? And find your your realness, and just say to yourself, listen, I need, like Adam said earlier, he was able to self-reflect and gain some introspect from that, which helped him today. Like, I'm only saying this because now he and I joke, but then I'm going to be transparent with you, sir, for a second.
Okay.
Because you remember when you first came to Chicago, you and I were a team, so to speak. You get my drift. So you came here, and I saw the transformation of you coming here, coming fresh out of where you were, and then coming here and having sort of like a posture of, like I always say, whenever things break, you got to look at the two people that were responsible for it, right? Whenever anything breaks. And so sometimes there's something in us that just hates to admit, I know I do it all the time, that you were responsible for this, or you were partly greatly responsible, whatever. And I'm saying that to say I've seen you transition into a place where you went from probably not wanting to see that to saying, you know what? Let me be real. And I saw your whole countenance relax from it. You know what I'm saying? I've seen your whole countenance relax from it, and you're a totally different person today, which is a good thing,
Well, here's the thing of it is, okay, depending on the severity of the situation that you're in will directly affect you. Yeah. And your ability to be able to deal with it. Right. So you have to go from level to level in terms of your growth, in terms of your development. Yeah. So that means that I had to do some growing. Yeah. Which means I had to experience some discomfort, i.e. pain.
Some stretching.
The pain of a relationship dying. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so in that regard, I had to look at the things that I did. And I had to own the things that I did. Right. And I had to admit the things
that I did. Yeah. It's hard for us to see us. This is the biggest problem in most of these relationships, is just failure to see. Failure. We a lot of us are blind. we're in these relationships and marriages or whatever we call them, and we refuse to see us.
Yeah.
And I think if both parties could see one another for themselves and then humbly communicate that to one another, we'll be a better people if we can do that.
Well, you know what? I also believe that it's important that you definitely have surrounding you a inner circle, not a public circle, not a big circle, but a inner circle, a small circle of friends,
right,
and people that can hold you accountable. I'm not talking about yes men and yes women.
Yeah.
They throwing you apart and they want to throw you a parade. No, I'm talking about people who can pull you to a corner and say, you know what? I see you headed down this particular path. This path is not good for you. Come on, let's make an adjustment in your trajectory.
Right.
Let's make a change in the direction that you're headed. Because where you're going is not good.
Good, not at all.
You need people like that in your life, whether they're older, whether they're peers, whatever facet of life that they come from. You need people who can tell you the brutal, honest truth about you. And I mean, let me add to that. Then you need to be able to accept what they're saying about you.
Okay.
And make a change accordingly.
Right.
This is how you succeed in life. This is how you go far in life.
But you know what? When people have seasoned words, typically mean the person has good intentions for telling you, whether you like it or not.
Right.
The problem is when people come to you and they're saying things to you, and I think everyone can feel when someone is administering something to you without good merit or good intention.
Right.
That's when you get into the posture of rejecting it. And it doesn't help things. But
you're going to know that they mean you good.
Right.
Because they would have been around you long enough for you to know them and them to know you. I'm not talking about no fly by night people that you just met on Facebook.
Yeah.
And you ain't never seen them.
Wow.
I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about the prophets on Facebook and the past. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about real, authentic people.
Yeah.
Real people who can speak into your life real things about who you really are.
Wow.
That's all I'm saying.
That's good stuff. Man.
I live in a real world.
Wow. Wow. All right, man. So listen, it was a great segment tonight. We have to be back at this again this week, as we talked about. But anyway, as usual, I appreciate you guys for tuning in and putting up with us. I know we go back and forth at some time, but it's just we mean it in good love. We don't mean any harm by it. Most of the time, till we got the phone, we really get it in.
Oh man, wait till we go off there. It's about to be going up in this joint.
Right. And then I would also say, as I always say, let's continue to heal the world one heart at a time. Shows like each time we get into these shows where we're helping people see, we're helping one another see ourselves. That's what it's really all about. Seeing yourself, being able to see yourself, comprehend and implement change. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. So also, folks, if you all want us to chime on some things, send it to the inbox. If you want, it'll be it's a discreet conversation. We're not going to bring up no one's name and all this kind of stuff. If you want us to talk about something, just send it to my inbox and we will go from there. All righty. Take care, sir. Yes. Oh, you gonna pray?
What?
Is that what you said? You was gonna pray?
I didn't say nothing about no prayer. Did you say
prayer or something? I thought you said something about prayer. Right.
I didn't say nothing about prayer. What?
I don't know why I said prayer like 10 times tonight. I'm gonna go to the upper room. I've been talking about prayer all night. The Lord is like, you want to pray? You're gonna get yourself together somewhere. But anyway, go ahead and pray, man. So yeah, do you have anything to lead the people with? Or you all right? You got any words? You'll come up with some. I don't have to go but so much to tell you about how he'll start going into the audience, y'all. Don't watch out for
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay.
I said residuals from yesterday. I said residuals. Don't play with me up in here.
What you say? What happened yesterday?
Huh?
What happened yesterday?
I said residuals from yesterday. I said, don't play with me. Residuals.
Yeah, I know you look when folks be talking. I know my thing is this. It's just like anybody that's doing what we're doing. It's impossible to do this. And sometimes if you're really into it and not necessarily feel people, you understand what I'm saying? Just feel people. Huh?
Say it one more time.
I said it's impossible to do what we do and not be able to feel people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, feel people. Yeah,
definitely. Well, I mean, I just want the people to be comforted. That all is not lost. That there is yet hope in your relationship.
Yeah,
things can and will get better. But here's the key: you got to do some work. You have a part to play in this. And I encourage each and every one of us to play our part. Do what you can to make things better. You got some unresolved issues, check yourself first. And once you've checked yourself, check with your brother, check with your sister. Find a way to resolve the issue. Find a way to make things better. Stop blaming everybody else for things that are happening in your life. Take some responsibility for you. Because only you can take care of you at the end of the day.
Good stuff.
And then, once you do what you do, God will take care of the rest. I promise you that.
As we go out at some smooth tunes. Go ahead, Adam. No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm alone.
All right, sir. All right, y'all. Till the next time. Love y'all. Peace and blessings. Take care.
Peace, everybody.
All right. I might actually put scissors up there in the camera.